Sleeper Wire, the only fantasy football radio show with more than a dozen multi-time, multi-league, multi-year champions. Listen to the Sleeper Wire show every Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern on Dash Talk.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Sleeper Wire Show. Yeah, that's right. I am your host, Nick Summerall, and with me today, I've got my co-host, Dirty Job Mike, on the scene. Dirty Jobs, how's it going?
Not too bad, man. Not too bad. Excited already. Week 8, man. I can't believe that.
Week 8, 6 teams on a bye. Yikes. Yeah, we are halfway through the season. We are getting dangerously close to the playoffs. So first things first, how's your season going in your leagues?
Good. I feel like I'm going to make the playoffs in my money leagues, which is the big deal. And in my other leagues, I'm doing pretty good. The only league I'm doing really bad in is the Beat Sleeper Wire Steve League, and I cannot figure it out. Like, I just keep losing.
Yeah, I'm doing awesome in my free leagues, and then my money leagues not so much. So I'm the opposite. It's like, what the fuck? I cannot get it right in my money leagues. I just I don't know, man. I don't get it. I'm 3-4 in one and 2-5 in the other. It's not looking good.
Oh man.
Yeah. So not doing well.
Well, we can still bounce back from that, right?
Well, here's the thing. I keep going up. My luck is that I keep going up against the teams that have the players that go off for that week. You know what I mean? Have the best game of the season against me. That's the kind of luck I'm in.
You're the Lucas Baldridge of that league. He was telling me about that last night. He was saying that he was getting everybody just keeps crushing him on points.
Yeah, it's insane. And then in my one money league, though, what's odd is I'm leading the league in points per week, but I'm 3-4. So go figure.
That I've actually got a guy who's in 7th place in a 10-man that's also got the highest score. It's unbelievable this year. This is a really weird fantasy season.
Yeah, definitely so. All right, guys. Well, anyways, enough about us personally with our leagues. Let's help you guys out so you don't have my terrible luck. And we're going to cover, first things first, is the news from this week. So, first things first, let's talk about how there's 6 teams on a bye. You've got the Packers, Titans, Jaguars, Rams, Cardinals, and Giants. A lot of teams on byes, a lot of players that you may be relying on week to week. See, you know what I hate, man? I hate that they wait till halfway in the season like this, next week, and even the week after, to have so many teams on a bye at once, whereas the last couple weeks, you only saw 2 teams each week. Why not put 4 teams or, split it up so that we're not hammered in fantasy football by so many teams out on a bye?
Well, it makes sense to me. You got all the halfway point of the season. It makes sense for a lot of teams to go on a bye. I'm not a big fan of it, but I also understand it.
I mean, I understand it from an NFL standpoint, but as far as fantasy, it really screws things up. Maybe the NFL could work on that, I mean, that would certainly help me out and other people. But let's look at some other news, guys. Carson Palmer broke his arm in a Week 7 shutout, loss against the Rams. He's been placed on the IR on Thursday, so he's gonna miss. He'll miss officially 8 weeks. So what does that say about the rest of the Cardinals?
Oh, I do not like Stanton. I think they take a huge drop. If you can get rid of Fitzgerald, get rid of him now. I like David Johnson still, but I don't think he's going to be fantasy relevant till right around the playoffs. It's not a good look for Arizona right now. It's going to be a tough place to play football.
Well, what about Adrian Peterson, who's serving in David Johnson's spot now?
See, and I feel like the one game that he had was a fluke. after watching him last week against the Rams, who were okay against the run, but they're not anything spectacular, he really didn't look that great. He didn't look like he did the week before. If he can find that fire again, maybe.
Yeah, maybe so. I mean, I agree with you, though. Cardinals players with Drew Stanton. I mean, look, next week we're probably going to be talking about somebody who Drew Stanton likes, because there's going to be, I get it. He's not a good quarterback, but he's serviceable enough to have been in this league for a while as a backup quarterback. So, that says something. But, seeing who's going to step up in that role and be the guy, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, I don't know if I'm out to trade Larry Fitzgerald. It depends on what I'm getting. I'm sure people are going to look at Larry Fitzgerald and say, well, without Carson Palmer, it's a downgrade. So you're probably going to get robbed on your trades for Larry Fitzgerald, where I don't see him taking a huge bump down, but he won't produce to the level he was. I agree there. But I just don't think you should trade him for pennies.
No. Get his name value while you can is what I'm saying.
Right. So, anyways, let's move on. The next piece of news I want to talk about that came out today is that Dontrelle Inman traded to the Chicago Bears for a conditional draft pick. Now, I mean, it doesn't seem like much, but when you consider how bad this receiving core is for the Bears, I mean, Inman could turn out to be something of a steal in the waivers, depending on what we can really see out of Trubisky. Now, I know the offense has been limited for him. He only made 7 pass attempts last week. But in all fairness, that's also play calling. That's not Trubisky. That's not Trubisky saying, well, I don't want to throw. That's what they're calling for him, because we know John Fox is too conservative.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree. I think this is actually going to be a big deal for both Trubisky and Inman. I think they finally have a wide receiver one, somebody that they can throw to. And I feel like Inman comes from a place where he was about the wide receiver 5 at the end of the day. So yeah. I think giving him a system like this, where the closest competition is Kendall Wright, perfect. I think this will actually probably be a pretty good fantasy fit for him.
Yeah, and that's my thinking is I think that we may not see it initially. I mean, this is a pretty good matchup, though, going to New Orleans, playing the Saints, who, yeah, defensively they have gotten a little better, but I'm not buying it. I'm not buying that they're a top defense in the league. Although, I mean, I definitely was excited about how the Bears defense played last couple of weeks. That's for sure. I mean, Eddie Jackson, my boy, 2 75-yard touchdowns.
Yeah,
what'd you think of that?
They're looking ridiculously tough. I don't know if that maintains. They're going to New Orleans. So with that, I'm a little nervous, a little sketchy about them. But I think if their defense can shut this team down, look out.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, man. This isn't fantasy related, but for all the people who said that the Bears were only going to get 3 wins this year, you can go suck it. Because, I mean, look at the teams they've already beaten. They've beaten the Steelers, they've beaten the Panthers, and the Ravens. I bet everybody thought those would be losses.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I was one of those people, so I know exactly what you're saying. No, they're really a lot better than I thought they were going to be, a lot better than I gave them credit for.
Yeah, well, as a Bears fan, I'm excited to see that they're proving the doubters wrong. But let's move on. Let's go on to more fantasy-related stuff. I could do a whole show on the Bears, but this isn't the type of show to do that. Jameis Winston did not throw Wednesday or Thursday, but that was planned. So there was no setback, according to officials.
Yeah, he looks like he'll be fine. Yeah, I think he'll be okay. He looked great Sunday, right? I mean, he went out, kicked some ass.
Yeah, and they're playing the Panthers, so this is a division rivalry game, which I always tell you don't believe in the stats, because it'll always be different than what you expect. That's what I tell everybody, and I've said it multiple times on this show. So I'm interested to see how this goes. The Panthers' defense, though, is still legit in my opinion. It's that offense that can't get anything going. That's what's troublesome for them. But that defense is legit. Yeah. So I don't know how I don't really like Jameis Winston this week.
I actually do. They're at home. I like Doug Martin. There's a lot of players that I actually like in this game. I do feel on the Panthers. I do feel like the Panthers could actually have a pretty good game this week, too.
And I don't know, was there a report Luke Kuechly is back from his concussion protocol?
I believe so. I'll vet that right now.
Okay. Yeah, because, I mean, if he's back, I mean, that just makes the defense even better, as
Right.
we all know.
Oh, yeah, no, he's such a game changer.
For sure. I have Panthers defense in my NFL league, in one of my money leagues, so definitely hoping that Luke Kuechly is back. He always makes the defense that much better.
And it looks to me like he says he's going to return, so.
There you go. So we got the official word there. He's going to be back this Sunday, so there you go. Let's move along, though. Here's something I really wanted to talk about. Martavis Bryant was demoted to the scout team in Wednesday's practice, and he will be inactive this week. This is huge. We've been hearing a lot about Martavis Bryant not being happy where he is, and now, if anything, this confirms all the rumors that there's something going on there between the Steelers and Martavis Bryant.
I think what you're seeing is a whole lot of Mike Tomlin sick of the BS. And I think what you're seeing is Martavis Bryant is going to grow up a couple notches this next couple of weeks. I feel like he's going to sit there on the bench and go, man, oh man, my mouth is what got me into this problem. All that I had to do is be quiet. And Tomlin is not the type of coach that'll just sit back and let that crap happen on his watch. So he'll sit the bench. He'll learn his lesson. I think this will actually be fine. It won't be fine this week, but I think by next week, everybody will have grown up a little bit. Tomlin will have won his little battle because that's what he does. He's a great coach. He puts people in check when they need to be put in check.
Yeah, I tend to agree, but at the same time, I feel like they don't even need Martavis Bryant out on that field. I remember seeing the stats of like what the offense is and isn't without Bryant on the field. But now they've got Juju Smith-Schuster, who I think is an up-and-coming type of receiver, got his head on straight, somebody they can really work with opposite of Martavis Bryant. They still have Eli Rogers there. They've got a number of receiving threats, of course, not to mention Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell. So I don't feel like they're going to need Martavis Bryant unless an injury is called for. And I think they could leave him on the scouting team.
I don't think that'll happen. I think he's twice the receiver of Juju Smith-Schuster. I think he's faster. I think he runs cleaner routes. There's a lot more I like about Martavis Bryant than I like about Juju. That's actually one guy I don't really understand the hype about. If you look at the wide receiver 3 numbers for Pittsburgh the past 5 weeks, you're looking at Martavis Bryant numbers. He had one good game. So I don't know what the hype is. They use Antonio. They use Le'Veon Bell. And then for third, they use Jesse James, which I think is going to have a huge week this week.
You think so, huh?
I do. Yeah, I think he's going to fit right in because Cincinnati's really tough against the outs. They're pretty good against the run, but the tight end can score against him. So I think he's going to be the option for Ben Roethlisberger this week, not Schuster.
Well, the Steelers are playing the Lions, buddy.
Oh, yeah, the Lions. Sorry, I meant Slay. Yeah, but the Lions, they're good against the out. They're good against the run. They're just not that great against the tight end.
Well, but here's the problem is that the last couple weeks, Jesse James hasn't even seen a target.
Yeah, and I think he will this week.
He really hasn't been used.
Yeah.
Well,
Nobody's been used except Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell.
That's tough to trust, man. I mean, because it's like this. Because I could side with some of these fantasy players. Is that when you see somebody not producing for a couple weeks, putting up goose eggs? I mean, how do you go about trusting a guy, especially somebody? It's easier with the elite guys, but when you look at these guys that you pluck off the waiver wire, you're so much easier to just say, okay, they're done, they can't do it, drop them. That's it.
Well, it's all about need versus necessity, right? So you need to get the ball to Antonio Brown. You need to get the ball to Le'Veon Bell to win a football game in this situation. What happens when you can't get the ball to them because you can't force feed Antonio Brown. Look what Jacksonville did. I don't know. I think Jesse James is going to be that third option, not Juju Smith. I think that's more of the game plan of the Steelers this year. They're playing a lot different than they normally have, which is that high-octane offense. They've been playing a lot with their defense, run the clock, run the ball, slow it down. So I don't know. That's just the way I see it.
Very interesting. You heard it here, guys, because I don't know. I want to believe you because I have Delaney Walker on a bye. I need to pick up somebody, but man, that could blow up in my face.
Absolutely. It'd be a very high risk, very high reward type situation.
Well, Sam Bradford once again did not practice. Stephon Diggs also dealing with the groin and ankle issue. Got in a full practice on Thursday, so it's looking like he'll play this week. So good news is Bradford's out most likely. Good news is that is that Diggs will be in this week. Bad news, Bradford won't. So we're going to see more of what we've seen, and that's just going to be it.
I think I think that's he's still very serviceable. I mean, I think he'll do okay this week. He seems to have a good connection with the quarterback. Even when Bradford's not there, you got Bridgewater coming up. I like Diggs this week a lot. I guess not a lot, but listen, I like him mid-grade. If he's out there, I like to play him. Yeah,
listen, Diggs will get his. He's certainly one of the most targeted receivers on the team, no matter who's really starting there. And you got to figure, I mean, they're playing the Browns in London, so it's not like it's a tough matchup either.
Right. And Case Keenum, to me, he seems to be okay. He's not terrible.
I mean, let's look. I mean, so far on the season, Diggs has 23 catches, 395 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And really, most of the season has been played with Case Keenum.
Yeah, so I think
only
he'll
one
be
game
fine.
with Bradford.
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah, although you know what's interesting is Adam Thielen is definitely his favorite target. 43 catches, 529 yards, just to get him in the end zone. It's something to think about, you know. Maybe you try to go trade for Thielen if you can at this point.
Yeah, Thielen's been ridiculous.
Yeah, although I got to tell you, when Teddy Bridgewater gets thrown in there, I'm telling you, it's going to be such a downgrade to that offense.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it'll be such a shame. All right, let's continue on. We have that Golden Tate said he doesn't know if he'll play this week against the Steelers, although he did practice on Wednesday. He is still expected to miss while he's dealing with the shoulder injury.
I hope he sits out. Steelers has a really good pass defense, so I don't know. Take an extra week, get better.
There you go. Jay Gruden said the team will play the hot hand between Josh Doctson and Terrell Pryor. So with this news, does that mean Josh Doctson is a must-own?
I believe so. I actually like Josh Doctson a lot. I think he's going to be the wide receiver 1 for that team. I think he's earned the position. I think he's earned the trust. I think the only other person that he's throwing to is old Jordan Reed.
Yeah, you know, it's amazing. You take away the weapons that Kirk Cousins was comfortable with, and he looks like a completely different quarterback out there. He doesn't seem to be able to find a rhythm with these guys, which is just completely, odd to me. I mean, he's getting along great with Chris Thompson still, but that's been inconsistent in this offense. And as you mentioned, Jordan Reed. I mean, Terrell Pryor, 18 catches, 223 yards, and 1 touchdown. That's not the type of season we expected going into Week 8 for Terrell Pryor. And then you look at what Josh Doctson. So yeah, last week against the Eagles, he had 3 catches, 39 yards. He hasn't done anything special yet this season. But I mean, listen, he's only started in 4 games this season. So he's only got 4 game starts. It's not impressive what he's done with it yet. Maybe with an increased workload, though, maybe he could prove to be a wide receiver 1 in that offense.
See, and I feel like he's better than Pryor, at least has a better relationship. So give him to me. I think he'll be the guy to grab, especially with Jordan Reed's injury history. Jeez, that's a really hard phrase to say. I think with that, I think he's a stellar grab. I think he should be owned in most leagues.
All right, well, with a few more pieces of information to run through, I just want to say that Melvin Gordon was limited at Thursday's practice. What do you think about that? Do you think he's going to play?
I think he'll play. I think he needs to play. I think he's okay. What do you think?
I think he'll play. I don't know, man. He hasn't been that great this season. He's been masking his production with catches out of the backfield and touchdowns, which is certainly great. But when you look at his yards per carry average, right now, Melvin Gordon is running a 3.4 average. Not that great when you really think about what you got for him. But again, like I said, he hasn't been terrible.
He's been scoring. At least he's been scoring.
Right. And the other thing, like I said, I mean, he's only had probably 2 bad weeks for you this season, especially if you're playing in a PPR league. So it's not bad, but you just want a little more out of Melvin Gordon. And hopefully this week you got hopefully the foot will be a little healed up. He's got a bye next week. So that'll be extra time for him to heal up. So we're just gonna have to wait and see. You got to start him though at this point. You can't bench Melvin Gordon.
Right? No, there's no way, especially against that New England defense.
Yeah. The last piece of news I want to talk about here is Michael Thomas. He arrived on the injury report pretty late on Wednesday, but returned to practice Thursday. So it's something to keep an eye on because he's now a knee injury. Maybe he suffered at practice, or maybe he's just he's been dealing with this for a little bit. I'm not sure. He looked good Sunday. Saints played Green Bay this past Sunday. Michael Thomas finally looked good, at least in PPR formats. Here's the thing. I'm hopeful that Michael Thomas plays, but really he's been pretty disappointing this season as far as where you got him. You know, people were drafting him end of first, beginning of the second round. And the other thing is, too, you know what's funny? Is so, of course, we're back to my Bears again. But even though the Bears don't have anybody notable in their secondary, although maybe Eddie Jackson has emerged after the game against the Panthers, they really have been solid against the receiving game, or the passing game, I should say. They really haven't allowed a wide receiver one to go off. I know this is in New Orleans. And we're going to really see. This is going to be their biggest test probably on offense against this defense, at least since they've really started to be seen as a stout defense.
And I really like Chicago this week. And like I said, this is their proving ground to me. If they can shut down New Orleans at home, people are going to have a completely different respect of the Chicago Bears.
Not to mention, they'll be at 500 for the season, 4-4.
Right. In a division that's actually winnable. They can actually win the division.
Yeah, without Aaron Rodgers. I mean, listen, I don't think they will. I think Minnesota is probably going to win this division. But it's not to say impossible anymore with the way these Bears have looked. So I'm very hopeful. All right, but we have covered so much time on the news. We have to get to the games. We've only got about a little over half an hour to try and do it. Can we do it?
Oh, yeah. We burn through this stuff, buddy.
All right. So let's get to it. But before we do we have anybody joining us?
I don't know too many good sleepers for this weekend, but I do know a guy who is my sleeper resident expert, and that is Hoos. So let's get Hoos involved in the conversation.
All right. Let's bring him on.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Hey. Hoos, what's going on? It's good to have you on with us. We're about to try and cover all the Week 8 games in about 30 minutes. Think we can do it?
Sounds good. Let's power through.
Let's power down. Let's hunker down, as they say. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, this will probably be our quickest one of the evening. Minnesota at Cleveland in London.
London, baby.
You tell me how it works. So let's see here. What to talk about indeed? I mean, well, Stefon Diggs, we just mentioned, he's probably going to be back. So you got that. And you know what? Why don't we start here? The running game for the Vikings. Latavius Murray last week, Jerick McKinnon. Who is it this week, guys? Tell me about it.
Oh, well, I mean, you got Latavius. You got McKinnon. So, I mean, in the standard, you like Latavius. I mean, you could possibly use him in PPR. Definitely, McKinnon, definitely gets a boost. Cleveland, they don't have the best, rushing defense. So I mean, they could definitely be exploited there. So yeah, I mean, it's the Browns. You definitely, McKinnon's been having a good start, so definitely start him. And I think you could even use Latavius in a deeper league. Maybe a 12, 14 man as a flex.
So you're saying basically let's ride out with Jerick McKinnon still, despite the performance from Latavius Murray.
Yeah, I think you could still use him in a PPR.
But you're saying in deeper leagues though for Latavius Murray. Yeah,
because I don't necessarily think you're gonna see this just emergence of just Latavius Murray. I mean, McKinnon looked good 2 games, so I don't see them just relegating him. It's kind of a little bit of a nasty situation, kind of with Derrick Henry and DeMarco Murray. But I think these guys can be a little bit more successful than those 2 are. You just hope that they don't eat into each other too much, but they definitely are. They definitely will. They paid Latavius a ton of money, and McKinnon, he's finally flashing, and they need him now. So I think they could still use both. And it's a good looking offense now. I mean, they got a healthy Diggs, a healthy Thielen, Rudolph. It might be fireworks this weekend.
All right. Well, is there anybody we can vouch for here for the Browns that we like, other than maybe Duke Johnson?
I don't even really like Duke Johnson this week, to be honest. I don't like any Cleveland Brown.
Kind of how I'm feeling.
I mean, you can use Duke Johnson in a PPR for sure. Duke Johnson, is a fine wide receiver. Well, not wide receiver, running back too. Even though he plays like a wide receiver out there, yeah, he's a fine option in PPR. I'm definitely starting him.
I mean,
Njoku, maybe deeper leagues. Yeah, we were talking like
Njoku.
I love me Vikings defense this week. How about
that? Oh, yeah.
Even in London, I don't know how I like that, but I do like Minnesota D this week.
Well, let's move along then, because I think if we're gonna cover all these games, we really need to move on. The Raiders at Buffalo, guys. Hey, LaShawn McCoy finally getting in the end zone this season. Hey.
Finally. And he's going to do it again this weekend.
Well, I certainly hope so, because, damn it, I feel like an idiot for drafting LaShawn McCoy in the first round this season after so many weeks of inconsistent performance.
But we did the right thing, Nick. Neither one of us traded him like we wanted to, and now he's going to start paying us off. Here we go.
Here we go. Strap in.
Here we go. So, all right, tell me, who do you guys like this week? Who do you hate? I'll start with you, Hoos.
No, I mean, definitely like LaShawn McCoy. I mean, how can you not? I don't know if I'd start Thompson this week, but, hopefully, you picked him up, like Dirty Job said earlier this week.
You're going to watch 30 points get scored on your bench, Hoos. On your bench.
I don't know what 30.
It's the next Josh
points.
Gordon.
Wow.
He's the next Josh Gordon. Okay, maybe I don't fully believe
I don't know. I mean, we got Nick, that knows a lot more about, Thompson than the 2 of us do. And I've seen him flash in like a couple games here and there. I want to see it one more game in this offense, but I do like the talent. Other than that, Nick O'Leary, you can use in the deep league. The other guys are, Tyrod. I love Tyrod.
Listen, Deontay Thompson he's a flash in the pan, man.
Right.
4 catches, 107 yards. Give me a break. We've had this guy. He's done nothing. And I'm sorry. I mean, Tyrod Taylor is nothing special at quarterback. So I'm not sitting here led to believe that Tyrod Taylor is better than anything the Bears had at quarterback, even when we had Jay Cutler.
No, Tyrod's way better than Cutler.
He's certainly not as bad as in putting throwing turnovers.
Okay, that's
but
fair.
I think
That's fair,
as a gunslinger, he's nothing close to what Jay Cutler was.
Right, I guess that's fair. He's nowhere near as bad as Jay Cutler. So I'll just say that.
The Baltimore connection is back. Tyrod and Deontay. Here we go. Saddle up.
Anyway,
yeah.
Amari Cooper duplicating performance.
No way.
You start him though.
You do start him, but Crabtree week. I think it's going to be a Crabtree week.
Yep.
I think this could be a Buffalo shutdown week.
It very well could. That defense is
very
legit.
good. Very good.
I mean, I don't think we see what Oakland was able to do against the Chiefs. We've seen them against lesser defenses do worse, like the Redskins. I mean, Redskins defense isn't bad, but let's face it, let's face it, Buffalo has a better defense than the Redskins.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, Buffalo's one of the top. What you'd say, at least, maybe not on paper fantasy wise, but I'd say they're about a top 5 team.
Yeah.
You know, DSC.
Yeah,
In defense, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on then, guys, to the Colts at Bengals. So the Bengals are back. You'll have AJ Green to start this week. Joe Mixon, can you start in this game against Colts?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm starting Joe Mixon, and I'm loving it this week. I think he's going to tear it up. That Indianapolis rushing defense is starting to get a little bit more exposed every week. Give me some Mixon.
Yeah, man, love me some Mixon. You know, this is the time of the year where I think he starts to turn it on. Yeah, and if you could go out there and get Mixon this week, definitely do it.
Now, how about Frank Gore, Marlon Mack? Let's talk about this backfield. This has been quite in recent weeks a bit of a topic of discussion here, considering that Marlon Mack on paper has been pulling his weight there. I'll say. I don't know if I could say definitely doing better than what Frank Gore has done there, but he's certainly in the conversation of, do we start Marlon Mack now?
I can't get over how good Frank Gore's been looking, but I really think this might be a good week for Indianapolis. I think they'll have to pass that ball quick, and I think when you say pass that ball quick, Marlon Mack comes to mind.
Yeah, definitely agree here. I think it's going to be a good Mac week.
Good Mac week. Good Mac it.
A big Mac
Mac
week.
in it week. Yeah.
Return of the Mac. Yeah, I think, he has a nice bounce back this week. Definitely passing. I like Gore too, though. I mean, especially with who's the guy again? Yeah, Turbin gone. You know, with the broken arm and it's like, you know, especially with him not vulturing touchdowns. So I think you could flex both of them. You know, but that's all they are. They're flex plays.
What about T.Y. Hilton?
Flex play.
Ooh.
I mean, you could play him. I mean, he's I think, you know what? He's had what, 2 stinkers? Like
4.
2 stinkers in a row?
4.
No,
2 in a row.
No, in a row.
Yeah, 2 in a row.
Yeah, he's bouncing back this week. Yeah, he's bouncing back this week. I'm gonna have a little bit more confidence in T.Y. Hilton this week. I think he's gonna have a nice bounce back, especially after complaining about how bad the offense was last week. So it's gonna be a good week for T.Y. I think it's gonna be people are gonna be sad that they traded him. I think a lot of people traded him this week, and especially if he does come back this year, man, that guy is going to win some championships.
All right. Well, then let's move on to the Chargers at New England. Guys, this should be a pretty good game here, but the Patriots starting to look like the Patriots again. Figuring things out on defense, not looking like the worst defense in the league. I just hate it. They always, do this type of shit.
They always figure it out. They always get on top of it. They're so good. Tom Brady's just a beast. Ugh. I don't like it either. I hate Tom Brady. But at the same time, I own him in a lot of leagues, so I'm kind of glad he's finally figuring it out, and that defense is actually getting him on the field a more appropriate amount of times.
I agree. Well, Melvin Gordon, we talked about him already. Let's talk about Keenan Allen this week, guys. Do we think that this defense is going to shut him down, or are they going to do everything to shut down the run this week?
I think Keenan Allen has a touchdown this weekend, finally. He might even pull in 2, but I think he'll have a touchdown.
Wow. Wouldn't that be nice, since I have him on basically all of my teams this year?
Me too. I might just be saying that because I need him to.
Yeah, seriously. Hoos, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that guy's a stud. I'm, definitely glad. I think he was one of the steals of the draft, even though lately he's probably another guy that's probably getting traded for and after this week. I'm definitely trading for him, in whatever leagues I can get him for him. I'm definitely not trading him away. Definitely love me some Keenan Allen.
Okay. Well, what about this running game for the Patriots? Do we have it figured out yet?
I mean, Deion Lewis seems to be the best back. Aside from that, yeah, I mean, Dirty Job's been calling him since week 1.
Too long.
Well, he wasn't really healthy, I don't think, 100% of the time. Then they wanted to see what they had in all of their backs. And I don't think the preseason is enough time. Even, when they're out there OTAs, I don't know if that's enough time. You got to see him in pads. You got to see him getting banged up. You got to see if they're going to fumble the ball. And Belichick, he likes to change things on the fly. So, yeah, I like Dion Lewis. I like him a lot. I think he's the one that you're going to start out of the rest of the backs. But, I mean, it's Bellatrix. It could be Rex Burkhead this week.
That's right. No, Rabbit. Get off my Bellatrix.
Exactly.
Bellatrix is for me.
Tricks is for me, not for kids.
All right, guys. Let's move along then. We're moving at a steady pace, so let's keep it going, guys. Oh, here's where it might slow to a crawl because we're going on to the Bears at New Orleans. You know how much I love talking about my Bears. I've already talked about them quite a bit, though, so I'll try to keep it a little limited. Although I had this question brewing in my mind. If somebody told you at the beginning of the season, at this point, week 8, the Bears would have a better record than the Colts and Bengals, would you look at them like they had lobsters crawling out of their ears?
The Bengals, yes. The Colts, no. I didn't see big things for the Colts when Andrew Luck wasn't going to start. But the Bears are impressive. I've got to throw that out there. They really look good.
Good defense.
Yeah.
Defense looking good.
Well, when the defense plays like that, you don't really need the offense to do much.
Right. I mean,
but not to mention, too, I mean, listen, I'll be real. I mean, the defense is the most impressive part. Jordan Howard still is, Jordan Howard. I don't think he's having any kind of real regression here. I think he's on pace to kind of repeat what he did last year. Maybe even score more in the touchdown department. Maybe some less yards, but more touchdowns. I will say this. The play calling is atrocious. They're not giving Trubisky a chance there. 7 pass attempts. That's just... How does that help a quarterback grow?
Yeah, no doubt. They need to do something better, but it's John Fox, so don't count on much.
Well, they did bring in Dontrell Inman, as we talked about earlier in the show, so hopefully that maybe gives him something on the outside. Since we weren't here for it, what do you think of that move by the Bears? Do you think that will help Trubisky?
Yeah, I mean, Dontrell Inman is a freak of an athlete. He's just buried on the depth chart. I mean, I think anyone that was able to get him. I mean, you guys know how I love these obscure guys, and I've been loving Dontrell Inman for years now. I'm loving that. My guys are finally getting shots. Chris Thompson, Dontrell Inman, Kenny Stills. These guys are finally getting some love. I'm just waiting for Zach Zenner.
You've been on that train.
Yeah, it's coming through.
What else you're waiting for is Bruce Ellington.
Oh yeah, well he had a splash. He had a splash, but then Fuller just came and just took it over.
What is that?
Well, not even a splash.
He dipped the toe. He did the toe tip.
He did the toe tip.
The toe dip. That's a tongue twister. That's a tongue twister. Try saying toe dip.
Yeah, I'm gonna start stuttering a lot before I can even get it. No, but I love Dontrell Inman a lot. I think it's a great move for you guys. Yeah, And
do you think it'll be a fantasy move worth monitoring?
Yeah. I mean, not right now. I mean,
not
you
right
can
now.
stash them. I think it's going to take a couple weeks, for it to play out. Hopefully, you see something right away. I mean, the guy has the talent. I think
look at Deontay Thompson for the Bills.
Yeah, I mean, I actually believe in the Deontay Thompson connection a little bit more than the Inman. Well, but that's because I've seen it for at least 1 week. But yeah, I like Inman. I just need to see it from that connection with him and the Trubisky. So it definitely a stash in a deeper league. It definitely anywhere like 10, 12. You just can look at him on waivers. As you read some news. But yeah, he's not fantasy relevant right now.
I hear you. Well, listen, we already kind of covered the game script of this. The Bears defense has played well. This is going to be their first real test since they've really started to play better under Trubisky.
Right.
So we're going to see what happens going to New Orleans. Let's see if maybe they're the real deal. I don't know. We'll see. Atlanta at the New York Jets. Here's a team. The Jets. If you told me they'd win 3 games by now, I tell you, you're full of it.
Yeah, yeah, me too. That was a
Nice
big
way of putting
surprise. Yeah,
I mean, especially having a better record than the Giants. I mean, that would have been
Yeah.
okay.
Well, it's football, right, guys? I mean,
Anything can happen.
anything can happen in football. Like, you can have a team that's just terrible somehow, making possibly making the playoffs. I mean, look at Brian Hoyer almost led the Browns to the playoffs a couple of years ago. They were like 1-1 away, So, I mean, freakish things happen. I don't see, the Jets as a formidable team, and I'm a Jets fan. Yeah, it's the Jets, They're just ruining their chances of getting a high pick, and as a Giants fan as well, I'm kind of liking it either way, because, we're going to get
because Giants are going to get Sam
quarterback. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I don't know. If the Browns and 49ers don't start winning some games,
don't know.
maybe not.
So,
well, let's talk about the now and the fantasy now.
Forte.
Forte. You think he's going to be something this week?
I like Forte a lot. Especially when they have their eyes on trying to win. I mean, he's their best back.
No doubt. I mean, Bilal Powell has been a journeyman backup for his whole career so far.
Yeah, I mean, he had times where we thought he would do well, but he might have a couple games here and there. But Forte definitely seems to be the steadier back. He's a decent, RB3, close to RB2, I think, for your rest of the season. I think he can give you decent production.
That's a
put him at about 30.
That's a bold statement there, Who's?
I put him at about 30. Yeah, he's getting used. He's getting. You give him, I wouldn't put him high, but you can use him. He's a good flex. He's definitely startable this week, given all the buys, the guys on buy. So, other than that, I mean, ASJ is a good option for the Jets.
Oh yeah,
Curse.
And what about Jermaine Curse? You like Curse?
In the deep league, that his touchdowns are fluky. His catches, it's not enough.
Well, I'm telling you this week, though, man, there's 6 teams in a bye. You might have to play Jermaine Curse in your teams.
Right. You might have to, and
That's
yeah,
not
I mean,
bad.
he is. Yeah, it's not. I'm not saying, I put him in that.
Wide receiver 3.
Yeah. Put him in that, Juju Smith.
Is there anybody in particular, though, in this game, outside of Matt Forte, like you mentioned, who's anybody, either you or Mike, like a lot this week in this game?
Julio and Devonta Freeman. Actually, Devonta Freeman is my unofficial start of the week because I think he is going to rip it up. I think he's going to get the touchdowns, finally, that we've been waiting for that. They cannot just keep on not handing it to him on the goal line.
He's got like 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, he's got 5 touchdowns.
But they were all really early. He's been digressing the past few weeks. I mean, he hasn't been getting used the way they use him.
I'm sorry, what was that Wyoming word you just used? Degressing? Degressing? It's called regressing.
It's degressing where I come from.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's so bad that it's a degress, not a regress. It's so bad.
Degress. Oh, gosh. All right. Let's move on before I disintegrate here. San Francisco 49ers at Eagles. Boom. That 49ers team, I don't know what happened last week. I mean, I know the Cowboys can get it going on offense and 49ers aren't that great, but 49ers were at least keeping games close for, most of their games this season. But that showing, I don't know what happened in that game. That was ugly. And if you have your Eagles players, I'd start every single one of them against the 49ers.
Oh, yeah.
According to Merriam-Webster, definition of digression, a stepping or movement downward, New Yorker. Take it.
I bet that's, Merriam-Webster or Urban Dictionary. I mean, for real.
Why isn't that word used more?
I don't know.
Because it's a retired word. It's one of those, you know what it is? It's like they used to say digression, and then they're like, you know what? Sounds like some idiot saying So why don't we just use the word regression like everybody else in the world now says?
You know what it is? It's completely. I know what it is. It's how I say, and Mike says so. That's his filler word, and is my filler word. And I actually did some research on this, and it's a millennial thing. So I think we say regress maybe as millennials, and Mike is just so darn old that he says degress. That's
okay.
That's what old folks do.
Fair enough. So now we put it to rest. We've got it.
Yeah.
Mike is just an old. He's just an old country boy that says old words like an old man.
Right.
Mike, if you want to go take your nap now, go for it. Hoos and I can cover for you. We've got it. Okay.
Oh goodness.
As I said, though, you're going to start all your Eagles this week. What about LeGarrette Blount, though?
Yeah.
Can you trust him? I mean, he's been pretty inconsistent, though.
I know, but I mean, it's a good
the 49ers, right?
Yeah, it's a very good matchup, and it's look at the bye weeks. I mean, you got a lot of guys on bye right now. You kind of have to start him. I think he falls right into that RB2, that mid RB2 range. He's mid RB2 for me this week, and I like him in Smallwood. I think you could start them both, given the week and given the matchup.
Yeah, I like Wendell Smallwood actually to have a really good week over Blount, but I think Blount can get touchdowns.
Yeah, and then from San Fran, I mean,
Pierre Garcon,
Goodwin, possibly in a deep league. Goodwin had like 24 targets in the past couple games. So
when you're still rocking Hyde out there,
yeah.
You're not liking it just like you never do, but then you like it at the end. It seems when he scores you like 50 points.
He does? When does he do that?
Hell, I guess 20-some. He had multiple touchdowns 2 weeks ago.
He had a 20-something point game, and then he had a pretty good game. I think he had a dud last week, but he's been having, and also he hasn't been healthy all season, so he's been boomer bust. But he's definitely a nice flex play in deeper leagues, especially if you got multiple flexes. You definitely just leave him in. And hopefully he finds production for you. But aside from that, I mean, George Kittle, maybe he finds production this week. Maybe he bounces back. I know he had an 8-point game, about a couple weeks ago, and the week before that he had, I think, a 2-touchdown game. About 22 points in a PPR. So maybe Kittle jumps back, but I don't know. That Eagles defense looks good.
Yeah, I really. For me, it ends at Pierre Garcon and Carlos Hyde.
Yeah.
I mean, that's who the only guys I could really throw out there for the 49ers roster, even with 6 teams on a bye.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Carolina at Tampa Bay. Oh man! So Mike and I talked a little bit about this game in the news, but just go through some things again. Carolina's offense looked awful last week. But Tampa Bay doesn't have a scary defense, so I think that the offense should bounce back. So don't worry about who you're starting this week for Carolina. I like just about everybody in this game. I don't think there's anybody I would really bench, especially with the bye here for so many teams. What about you guys?
Yeah, I'm in on Funchess. I feel like Dixon, Dixon, whatever that guy's name is.
I hate Dix.
Dix.
That guy, I think he can actually have a pretty good game, too. I really like Jonathan Stewart to have a bounce-back game. I like McCaffrey. I really think this is going to be a high-octane game, high-scoring, even though it's division.
What about you, Hoos? You think the same?
I think it'll end up falling into that. It'll probably start out slow, though. And then, by the time they start turning it on, I think it will be a pretty good game. Don't feel as confident in Stewart bouncing back. In the deeper league, I'd feel decent starting him. But even given the bye week, I don't know. He hasn't really done enough. And, you got Cam just stealing his touchdowns every time, or, McCaffrey's catching a pass to, for a touchdown. What does he fall into? Just maybe 60 yards at 6 points. In the standard, sure. Other than that, Dixon, maybe he has a bounce back. Not too confident in him, even though, Tampa Bay doesn't have the best.
Wonder.
Yeah,
I mean,
You could use him as and expect tight end numbers. Not expect the numbers that we get from the top 4 tight ends. If you get 7-8 points from him, then you have to be happy. He's not an elite tight end where he's a Travis Kelce, getting 21 points, or even a Cam Brate, or he's not doing that for you.
Okay, I am going to use my powers as the host of this show to benefit my own fantasy team. I'm talking about it right here on the show. So, I have to find a replacement for Delaney Walker this week, and there's not a whole hell of a lot of great options. So I will talk to you who knows, the guys, the sleeper guys, the guys, the ones that could bounce back into relevance. Well, here's who I got on the waivers. I'm going to tell you. Settle down there, boy. I know how it goes. All right, you got Vernon Davis, Zach Miller, Ryan Griffin, Benjamin Watson, Dixon, Derby, Denver, Ebron, Julius Thomas, George Kittle, Jesse James, Devolve, tight end from Cleveland, never heard of him. Kobe Fleener, Nick O'Leary, and really further than that, it sounds like it just gets worse and worse.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at...
Antonio Gates is there, but it's like...
No, you can't trust Gates. You're looking at Zach Miller, Nick O'Leary here, I think. Zach Miller's got New Orleans this week.
Here's the thing is, I know that they're being so damn conservative... And it's right. It's so annoying that they're being so conservative with Trubisky as a Bears fan.
I think they're gonna have to throw a lot more this week, especially with the way the defense. Yeah, their defense has actually been looking, a lot better. So if they're gonna score and their defense is gonna, they're gonna have to just let off the reins. Trubisky's gonna have to do some work out there. I don't think they can, continue to, use kid gloves with the guy. He just let him loose, and Zach Miller's a good start. The reason why, the trepidation obviously is, they're with these kid gloves with Trubisky. But the way I'm feeling about this game, if they're putting up points, either, by a defense, scores, or just if Breeze finally has a breakout game, I think they're going to have to rely on Trubisky to try to play catch up. And Zach Miller, I think he could, fall in the end zone, and catch a touchdown this week.
It has been decided. I have taken care of it. Thank you. All right, Zach Miller it is. He has gone into my lineup. All right, guys.
Right.
We only have, how many games? 4 games left. Let's power through them.
All right.
Houston at Seattle.
It's a good one.
It's a good one. It's a good defensive battle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But, Deshaun Watson has been hot this season. After that first game we saw him in with the Bengals, where he got his first start, I should say. What do we think against the Seattle defense in Seattle?
I think he comes down to earth this week and finds out what a real defense looks like. I don't think this will affect him too much, but I don't think he'll definitely have a 5-touchdown game. I think he'll be lucky if he can get 2 in there.
Who's?
I don't know. I feel like he's gonna be fine. I don't see him going off on Seattle, but I think he could still give you about 18 points. Yeah. And I think that's serviceable. It's not enough for me to, pick up someone else off of waivers. I think you could still start him. I think he's still startable. You just can't expect for him to be the number 1 quarterback,
This week. Exactly. I feel the same way. You're going to start your guys. You're not starting a running back from Seattle at this point because how can you? Even with the bye. So don't get cute. You're still going to start Miller. You're going to start Hopkins. Will Fuller, is this the week where we say, all right, enough is enough? He's coming back down to earth?
I can't.
I feel like he's the guy that gets those 2 touchdowns.
I'm not saying.
Well, then if you're
confident.
saying, if you guys are saying though he's going to get those 2 touchdowns this game, then we're really saying that Deshaun Watson's going to throw for multiple touchdowns more than 2.
No, I'm not saying that. I just think that if Deshaun Watson's going to be throwing touchdowns,
it's going to be to Fuller.
Fuller's going to get one of them.
But this trend can't continue. There's no way.
Of course not.
Not
But
in
I just think
Seattle.
that you can't sit him though.
No.
You know,
But in Seattle,
No. You
I
gotta
just
play
don't
him.
think you can sit him. I mean, with the touchdown potential. I mean, if he goes out there and gets hat trick, I mean, oh my God.
I've just said too many times not play him that I have to. I have to say play him.
I just feel dumb telling people to sit him, 2 weeks in a row, or not 2 weeks because he had a bye, a week
But it
before
was still
that.
2 weeks in a row.
But still, yeah, it was still, those weeks where he had 2 touchdowns and another touchdown. I don't feel
sitting on that couch with you, buddy. Like,
yeah, even though it was that one bomb and it was I think he only had 2 catches, but still, if he's connecting with them and it's the chemistry with those two is uncanny. It's I don't know. I mean, he's just looking like a stud out there. I don't feel comfortable telling people to sit him. I'd rather he start for you and he gave you 2 points and it's the rest of your team did work for you and you were able to get the win hopefully. Rather than telling sit him and then he gets 36 points for you. And then that could have been what could have really maybe helped you win money in your league or something like that if you got top earner, top scoring, points, maybe you win a weekly prize or something like that. And I know some leagues are like that. I'm in a one like that. So yeah, I mean you just never know, or especially if your fantasy points get you into the playoffs. He's just one of those top guys that he can boost your team into and I don't think he hurts you that much. Even if he busts you, you know what you were going to get.
Merriam-Webster dictionary defines power through as to hurry. No.
Well, stop using Urban Dictionary and claiming it's Merriam-Webster. They can sue us. All right, guys. So there you have it for that game. Let's move on. 3 more games, guys. 3 more. Dallas at Washington. I got to say, I am so happy this year that in a couple leagues I drafted Dak Prescott as my quarterback.
I feel the same way, and I feel the same way about Kirk Cousins. I think this is going to be a fantasy bonanza. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored in this game.
Well, because Mike says it, that means it's not happening.
Ooh, I don't know. How did those bets go last week, Nick?
I don't even remember the bets, to be honest.
Philadelphia was going to win, and Julio Jones was going to get over 15.5-point PPR. Well,
Eagles won, so I got that.
No, I bet on the Eagles winning.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And Julio got a 20.5-point PPR.
Yeah, see, so, I mean, just barely.
Barely.
Just barely. He got that late garbage time touchdown.
That's all you need is, and he ripped it.
And he ripped it.
Yes,
he ripped it. It was beautiful.
Yes.
I watched that like 15 times.
Garbage.
I'm still in love with that play.
Oh my God!
All right. This game, let's talk about it. This game, Dallas at Redskins. Is there anybody in particular that we're a little more hankering for than we normally are? Mike and I actually talked about Josh Doxson in the news, what's going on there. What do you think of Josh Doxson this week in this matchup?
I don't know, man. I don't. I'd start by guessing as a flex.
Remember, 6 teams are on bye this week.
Right, but I mean, you probably
you got missing Packers receivers.
Better options. Yeah. I'm thinking you got better options. You should have
so.
better options than.
Well,
than
you
the
lost
guy...
Odell Beckham. I don't know how many better options you got.
Yeah,
I mean,
you right.
know what I'm saying? There have been some significant injuries. Significant players are out this week. You know what I'm saying?
Man,
you know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying. I do know what you're saying. I do know what you're saying. You went extra New York on me right there.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying,
Yeah, man. I guess you gotta start him.
Start Josh Doxson.
Listen. I'm saying like no.
You guys
you're
like
starting him in a 10-team. Well, I don't know if I like him. I mean, it's the hype that has you go like at least questioning it.
Right.
You can't start him in a 10 team. Let's not get crazy.
No.
But you start him
In the 12.
maybe in a 12 as your flex. Deeper leagues, sure. I just want to see. I mean, they want to get this kid involved. Let's see him actually get him involved because it can't be worse than what Terrell Pryor's doing at this point.
Oh, Terrell Pryor's just garbage, man. I mean,
right.
Well, I don't want to call the guy garbage because he did look good. Maybe it's just the connection, just.
They don't have the chemistry.
They don't have that chemistry. They do not have it. Do not force it. Dotson,
and here's the thing. I mean,
he's a
Dotson's
beast.
he's been with that team for a few years with Kirk, so maybe they have a better connection.
Right. I mean, he should know the offense more. I really love Josh Dotson as a stash. Right. I just don't know if I want to start him this week, but I can see if you would. I could see you starting him this week. I would just hope you have you possibly were able to grab a Kenny Stills or something like that. But Dotson, yeah, he's a great ad. Definitely a great ad.
All right, well, what about the Steelers at Lions, the Sunday night game? Hold on one second, guys. Excuse me. Man, what a stinker of a Sunday night game. I mean,
I'm
sorry.
Excited about this game.
You are? Why? Because you're from Wyoming and there's nothing better to do?
Because it's like 20 degrees outside. But I really like Pittsburgh. I really like the Lions. I think this is also going to be a pretty good scoring game, especially if Golden Tate comes back and is productive.
Listen, I mean, I think
you think Golden Tate's starting, though? I mean, you think
I don't think he is. I don't think he is. No.
What happened? What was that question?
Golden Tate, if he plays this.
No, I think we're all expecting him to miss this game.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're starting your obvious players. You're not starting Martavis.
No.
We talked about that already.
No, you're not doing that.
So you're not starting Martavis. It's the obvious guys you're starting. The Steelers' defense is pretty above average. I don't think this is the right matchup to start them, especially playing in Detroit.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay. See, that's my problem. That's about all I have for this game. I mean, there's really not. Is there a receiver who's going to emerge in that Golden Tate role while he's out?
Anybody Marvin Jones, Kenny Galladay's, supposed to be back.
Okay. We ride that hype train again.
You got Darren Fells. You got the tight end there. He's been better than Ebron.
Well, maybe I should have picked up Darren Fells now.
What did he do last week? Actually,
I don't think.
Yeah,
I don't care.
I think you're fine here.
I don't care. I don't give a hoot. That's right. I'm using Mike's old words.
The hoot. hanging out with Mike too many.
See, this game should be the Sunday night game, the Monday night game. Broncos at Chiefs. Not really, because Broncos have stunk all season. This has been brutal Broncos team, but the Chiefs not the top dog anymore in the NFL as they have fallen to a 5-2 after the Raiders loss. I think they're going to be just fine this week, though. I think so. I think this is a win. It's in Kansas City. Start your Chiefs. I'd say even start your Broncos. Broncos play the Chiefs really well almost every time. I'm starting C.J. Anderson, starting Demarius.
I am not.
I'm not starting C.J. Anderson. I'm starting Demarius.
You have to start Demarius Thomas.
Yeah, of course. And Sanders, they said that Sanders possibly, there's a possibility of a Sanders return this week, I heard.
Possibly.
Was I reading that?
I don't see that happening.
Probably not. But
no, why are you guys so down on C.J. Anderson?
Well, it's a muddled mess of a backfield. I mean, Jamal Charles looks good. Devontae Booker looks good in the backfield.
Right, but let's not fool ourselves. C.J. Anderson gets the majority of the work.
C.J. Anderson was getting the majority of the work.
For some reason.
Yeah, they don't because he's not that good. He's not that good.
I think he's good. To be honest, I think he looks good.
When he plays in like 5 games, he has a good fantasy turnout. The other 30 games that he's played in, he's done terrible. I don't understand why people follow. I mean, I'm a Broncos fan. I've lived and died Broncos blood my whole life. The 90s were great. The late 90s, especially when John Elway finally got Terrell Davis. I mean, these are things that I remember like more than I remember my kids being born in some instances. like this is the Broncos. And I'm telling you, C.J. Anderson, to me, he's going to be the running back number 2 because Jamal Charles is by far the better back. And C.J. Anderson might accidentally find himself as a running back 3 because Booker's been looking pretty decent too.
Right.
Well, I mean, I'm looking at the numbers for Jamal Charles in comparison to C.J. Anderson on a week-to-week basis. I don't know what grass you guys are smoking. I mean, there's nothing
look,
here
I'm not
indicating
saying that.
Well,
I like C.J. Anderson. I'm not saying
I hear
C.J.
you,
Anderson's
but
bad.
I'm just trying to
It's
figure
just
out.
that
I
they
mean,
don't like. They're not using him the way they should. We
But,
all want to
okay,
see him get
that's
30,
different.
carries.
That's different
Get
than not
passes, 'cause
using.
he can do it all. He really can. It's just they're not giving him the work.
That's different, though. That's different than saying they like Jamal Charles better than C.J. Anderson. They're not using him properly. Yes, I agree, but they are using him more than Jamal Charles, which indicates to me that of the two, you can still start C.J. Anderson, even though he's not a great start. I wouldn't say he's an auto start, but he's at this point with
Right.
6
No,
teams
yeah.
on a bye.
Right. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
You
That's
know,
right.
I think you have to start him at least
Yeah.
as your flex, maybe
Yeah,
even
you're right.
RB2.
No, yeah. I mean, he's. You can start him as your starter. You can start him as your starter. It's a bad week. He's not a bad running back. I just don't feel that comfortable. But there's a lot of There's a lot of running backs you don't feel comfortable starting. I mean, but you have to start them. You know, you hope that they fall into production.
Very true. All right, guys, that is it. That is all the time we have. Can you believe it? Can you believe it?
Can you dig it?
Oh, guys, thank you so much for joining us on today's show. Please go to sleepwire.com. Check out all of our rankings and all the episodes there. Not to mention, of course, please, guys, please, if you're going to check out past episodes, check out our most recent episode about Rob and Lyme disease. I had a great interview with Rob's dad and Judith Weig from the Lyme Disease United Coalition. So please, guys, go check out that episode. I know it's not fantasy football relevant, but it's so much more relevant on a bigger issue, guys. So please go check it out, and go check out Rob's GoFundMe page, GoFundMe.com/RobJR. It's so important that you guys go help him out, and please, guys, whatever you can donate, we appreciate it. And so, Mike, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Dr. Kane21, and you can find me on Sleeperbot at Dirty Jobs. Dirty Jobs Mike on Instagram.
There we go.
All right, where can they find you?
Profit on Instagram. You can find me Who's Profit, I believe, on Twitter as well. Somebody gotta check that for me. Steve usually around to check that for me.
All right, yeah, there we go. He's gonna check it out. That's what
Yeah.
it is. So he can't find it. All right.
In I think Who's Profit on Sleeperbot? No,
Yes.
Profit Who's on Sleeperbot. Sorry.
Prophet Hoos.
Robin Hoos. There you go. And you can find me, guys, on Twitter at SleeperWireNick or on Sleeperbot at SWNick. See how simple that is if you just kind of keep to a theme. Hoos.
I'm all over the place.
All over the place. He's just going
Clearly.
to have 5 different nicknames for 5 different places,
Yeah.
so he doesn't even know where to find himself.
Right, yeah.
All right, guys. Well, again, thank you for joining us on today's show. Hoos, thank you for joining us for the games. And Mike, thank you for being on with us, as always.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Always a pleasure.
Always.
For Mike and Hoos, I'm Nick Summerall saying so long, everybody. Good night.
Thank you.
The champions from the Sleeper Wire Fantasy Football Show will help you win your fantasy football championship. Sleeper Wire, Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Sleeper Wire on Tag